This is a quick video, a quick live stream. I just took a walk. I took a walk outside to a park, and just want to drop this short video about racism. This monster that is devouring the nations of the world. Racism, 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 and racism. And I actually see a blessing. I see a blessing in this. My mask, I removed it. My mask is over here. Where is it now? I just took a walk to a park, and I'm just trying to do a very short video about this monster that is tearing apart the world. Racism and racism. And you know what? I see a kind of a blessing in this racism, in this subject matter, as horrible, as horrific as it is. And some of my friends that are listening to me here today would bear me witness. Many of us Africans wouldn't have driven ourselves to the limits of, by the grace of God, where we're here today. Many of us hold very high degrees, high qualifications because of this racism. We had to study very hard and study very hard and study very hard. And probably if there was no racism, most of us wouldn't be where we are today. So as horrible and as horrific as this monster is, it is not justifiable under any guise. It is a horrible, horrific, inhuman monster. I personally still see a blessing in it. I remember many years in Europe, about 14 years ago, thereabouts, one of my friends applied for a job in a company. I think he's an Igbo man. Very good. He had an MBA or a master's degree in oil and gas or something. And of course, they didn't give him the job. They didn't even invite him for the interview. So he did something very funny. He changed his name. He changed his name from his Igbo name to a British name. And he said, I just want to test something. So he changed his name and he resent the same CV. And they called him. My friend was fuming. So when he got to the company and they saw him, are you the one by the name Watson Smith Johnson? And they saw him, and that was the end of the job interview. Oh, we're gonna get back to you, and then I can tell you tales and tales and tales of experiences we have had in Europe, in America, in Canada, and in few parts of the world. But as horrible as it is, and we need to stem the tide of this monster. We need to stem this tide. I personally wouldn't have read up to where I am today by the grace of God if not for racism. You just have to be very, very good. So when I counsel people and I mentor younger people, I tell them, if you're a black person, you have no excuse for mediocrity. You have to be very, very good. You are competing with the very best. You're applying for jobs with graduates from Harvard, from Oxford, from Imperial College, from Bradford University in England, from Erasmus University, from Cambridge, and then you're coming with bachelor's degree from University of whatever in the northern part of Nigeria. Even without racism, you're going to be in very big trouble. So part of the things I do is to help people to reformat their CV. You do a lot of career mentorship as well. And then you repackage your CV and you tell them, go and get higher education, go and get further education. And at the end of the day, we discover that there is a blessing in racism. As horrible as it is, that blessing is that many of us now have 3 master's degrees. I have a friend who has 3 master's degrees. She's a lady. I have friends who have PhDs, and they never thought in their lifetime that they would even read up till master's level. But they just needed to push themselves above the limits because they were competing with people who didn't share their cultural affiliation. And so they needed to push themselves above the limit. And now they have a PhD. And the PhD is now a major asset to them now. So beyond the threshold of racial prejudice and wherever, They are using their PhDs to change the world. So there is blessing in every evil, no matter how bad things are. God is a God that uses the foolish things of this world. That is what the Bible says. He uses the weak things of this world to confound the strong, the foolish things to confound the wise. As horrible as racism is, it has destroyed societies, it has messed up homes, it has relegated people. I can tell you the experiences I've had. I'm a consultant by the grace of God, and you're applying to a company to get a contract for a project, and you know you're very good by the grace of God. You have all the qualifications, and you go for the interview, you present your case, and you make a mess of the questions. You just know that these are for babies. Tell me your name. What do you do in a project? How do you resolve this? They just ask you 3 basic questions, and when you do well in an interview, you will know. And then they tell you, oh, we're sorry. I know many of us have had that experience. We are sorry. In the UK that time, the typical language is, unfortunately, we regret. We regret. I hate that language with passion. We regret to tell you. We regret. So one day I got a regret. I got a message from a company. So we regret to tell you. I replied them back. I said, I myself, I regret to tell you that I don't want your job. I was so angry. I said, tell me what you want that I don't have. I am more than qualified for this job. Why are you not giving me? Of course, I knew that they wouldn't give me that job because I was a black person. And that is not to say that we don't get opportunities because of our color. I mean, there are Nigerians, Ghanaians, Ivorians, Cameroonians doing fantastically well in Europe, in America, blazing the trails, setting the pace. And by the grace of God, we are not doing badly ourselves as well. But if you remove the racism factor from the equation, a lot of us will be far ahead where we are today. Far ahead. Because there are so many jobs you apply for that are very good. I know you're qualified and they don't give it to you. In fact, there are some jobs they will tell you you cannot apply if you are not a US citizen, white. I've had cases like that in Canada here where they tell you you cannot, if you are not born Canadian, white, you cannot. No matter how much English you speak, no matter the qualifications you hold, you cannot. There are places you can never get to in organizations. How many MDs, how many African MDs do we have in this country? You will be a senior manager, maybe you find like one general manager, 1 out of 1 million Africans. You find many managers, many African managers in banks. You will hardly find one MD. You can be the MD of your own business. Anyway, set up your own business. But to be the MD of Barclays Bank and you have a black Nigerian guy, if you find that it will be 1 person out of 1 million Nigerians. It's very hard. They won't give it to you. And this is part of the seminar we're going to have on Saturday. And we want to look at the reality. Are we deceiving ourselves? Are we fooling ourselves? I mean, when you know the limits that have been set for you, shouldn't you find a way of overcoming that barrier? If you can't overcome it, shouldn't you look for alternative? And then we want to look at it from a very realistic point of view, from an historian perspective and from the perspective of business management and other contexts. But I can tell you that beneath the context and the subject of racism is a much deeper problem. Deeper problem. Human being by nature are selfish, chauvinistic, egocentric. That is the nature of man, regardless of color. And so when you see people who seem to know more than you, if you're not saved and you have not worked on your character and you have not developed the character of Christ, there is a tendency to want to move back into your cage and cut those people off. No one wants another person to come into his shell and dominate him. Nobody likes that. If you're a businessman and you have a business, you're selling a product, you don't want someone to come into the market and dominate the market. Now, I've done a lot of market research work for a number of companies. So when we are working on, when we're analyzing market share, so for example, you pick a company like Walmart, and I want to analyze the retail industry in North America. So I look for similar companies that are in the same strategic group as Walmart. So Walmart, Loblaws, and I pick some of those top retail stores in the US and Canada, and then you now begin to analyze them. using certain parameters. Now you come to a point you find that Walmart holds the largest market share. In other words, if you count all the customers that are purchasing retail products, Walmart holds the highest number of customers, human beings. Now, Walmart is doing everything possible to make sure nobody else deposes them from that position. No one must depose us. So if you go on Google now and you try to check the ranking of retail companies, grocery retail or FMCG companies, fast moving consumer goods, FMCG, you'll find Walmart as number one. And they have retained that position for years. No one must take over them. That is the normal nature of man. So in the business world, you don't want to be in a position and you want someone else to come and pull you down. You want to retain your number one position. Because when you're number one, you have a kind of a strategic control over everybody. The same thing applies in politics. If a president of a nation discovers that there is someone that is trying to pull him down, they call it treason, treasonable felony or treason. That's a very serious offense in any nation. So that is the root cause of racism, the selfishness in the heart of every man. I want to be number one. I want to be in charge. There is nothing like I own this land. No one owns any land. God is the owner of all land. The Bible says the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. So men and women ought to be treated with equality. Black or white or gray or yellow skinned people must be treated with equality. But that is not obtainable in this world. We are living in a world that is divided along the lines of religion, race, culture, and so many other variables. And so we just have to live with the reality of what is in our plate and aim and try to be the best. There is no room for mediocres in 2020. There is no room for mediocres in 2020. You can't be a mediocre. And that's part of the blessing that racism has given to many of us Africans. We have read ourselves to stupor. And when somebody drinks to stupor, that means you have drank to a point where you lose control of yourself. And maybe there are some disadvantages in that, because I see a lot of Africans as well who are doing it to the extreme. Certification here and there. And I have a friend who has like 12 certifications and degrees. 12. 10 or 12. And it has gotten to a point where it's almost like it can't just be at rest. Anytime he sees a new professional, wherever coming up, he just enrolls for it. So at the end of the day, we have a team of highly intelligent, a pool of intelligent Africans in the diaspora. And not every one of us wants to go back to Africa anyway. But I am a Pan-Africanist and I really love Africa. We're looking forward to what we can do to get even few of us to put in our best to rebuild Africa. We can just do something. Even we don't have to relocate physically. You can be living in America and be contributing to the transformation of Africa. Because these people we are dealing with, they will never they will never shift their ground. They will never. You know, about 15 years ago, I was in South Africa. And I was in a city called Kimberley. Kimberley is a diamond city. That is one of the cities in South Africa that is responsible for the large catch of diamonds that South Africa as a country produces. So I was working as a consultant with a company called De Beers. DEBEERS is the world's largest diamond manufacturing company. So in one of the weekends while I was there, we were taken on an excursion by one of the locals. So I was taken together with a team of other consultants to a particular house in Kimberley. We entered that house and we found like 8 to 10 chairs there. So our tour guide said to us, he said, inside this room sat about 10 people. He mentioned the year, 1960 something or thereabout. And he said something, he said, all the things that are happening in Zimbabwe today began from this room. All the things that are happening in Zimbabwe, all the crisis going on in Zimbabwe, all the political turmoil going on, everything was planned inside this room by 10 people. And that is the power of few people. The power of few people. 10 people can hold the whole world into ransom. 10 people can hold a whole nation to ransom. All the people causing crisis in Nigeria, for example, I mean, all the leaders that are fomenting trouble, I don't think they're more than 20. If you just change those leaders and you put the right people there, within 6 months, you will see a radical change. So there are godly, God-fearing white people. I have met many of them, and they're fantastic. They are not racist. There are godly, God-fearing black people as well. But in every nation, you will find a blend of God-fearing people and a blend of satanic people. So not all white people are racist. There are I mean, as I'm standing here now, I've met a lot of people just walking past me, smiling at me, greeting me, and very affectionate smile at you. And if not for the corona, wherever, they would have given me a hug. I've had a lot of white people who have helped us tremendously. I've worked with white people. I've consulted for companies owned by white people. I've been interviewed by white people, and they favored me and gave me the job. So, but however, we have terrible white people as well. Very terrible, very chauvinistic, very egocentric, very racist, horribly racist. So, my advice is that we don't generalize. As bad as this current situation, current situation is, that is in America now, going on in America now, is regrettable and it's very sad. But what can we do than to hope for the best and to put America in the hands of God? If America collapses, the whole world may collapse. America holds a very strategic position in the entire globe. They control majority of the forces that are holding the world together. Technology, all the Dell, all the Microsoft, Apple, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those companies are in America. They're American owned. Boeing, the makers of planes. Boeing should be the biggest and largest airplane maker in the whole world now. It's owned by Americans. General Electric, GE, one of the biggest, probably the biggest manufacturer of household equipment, electric equipment, is owned by America. Walmart, the biggest retail company in the world, is owned by America. I mean, so in most this oil company, ExxonMobil, is an American company. So they are very strategic. So we shouldn't stand back and be mocking and be laughing at the US. Oh, God catch you. God has caught you now. You are a troublemaker. If the US breaks down completely, it's going to affect the whole world. The world's economy is dollarized. The world's economy is dollarized. We all spend the US dollar. Trading on oil and gas, trading in virtually every sector is done in dollars, US dollars. And so we have to pray for the US and pray for our fellow white and black. I don't discriminate. I have white friends, I have black friends, and I don't discriminate. I condemn the evil. I condemn what they're doing to our people. It is unjustifiable or unjustified. It is uncalled for. It has been done for decades. They have been doing this thing for years and years and years. But at the root of the racism is a much deeper problem, which is the very nature of man. At the core of racism is selfishness, greed in the heart of every man. I spoke to one of my brothers 2 days back, and yesterday, and he said something to me. He was telling me some of the horrible things that black people do in the US. He was telling me horrible things that they do. All kinds of horrible things. Not Nigerians in general. I mean, black in general. Cocaine, crack, cocaine, drug. He said he saw some things that made him cry. So he said, if we demonize the whites and we call all whites are evil, all white are bad, and we create that barricade, the whites are, that they are bad, they are evil. No, that is not correct. Not all whites are evil. There are very horrible black people as well. There are black people that are breaking into stores that are, of course, we can explain it away and say, oh, they are doing what they are doing because of what they have been exposed to in terms of racism. There is no excuse for criminality. I mean, I don't justify criminality. I have gone through unemployment. I have gone through joblessness. I have gone through. Why didn't I break store? Why didn't I kill people? Why didn't I sell cocaine? I wanted to travel out of Nigeria years ago. I was refused visa 3 times. I think 4 times, 3 times. consistently. Why didn't I go to the other side and go and forge a passport? And so people will always do what they want to do and justify it because they are racial against me. Now I have to go and break a store. No, that is not how societies function. That is not how to build a healthy society. You don't go to a judge and tell the judge, I grew up from a father who abused me, and then that is why I have raped 50 women. And the judge will say, oh, hey, your father was so was responsible. Oh, your father messed up your mind. Oh, your father, you can go home. No, it's never done. That is where you hear it in the law, or they will tell you ignorance of the law is not an excuse. They can factor in some variables and reduce your sentence. Oh, okay. If you are not insane, because if it's a mental problem, okay, you can get away with it. But if it's not mental, the person will be prosecuted. So the law will not excuse criminality on the grounds of because there's racism. There are many people that are going through hell and yet they have not committed crime. I have friends in America, and there's a guy there that for 2 years he was cleaning. I know that guy was cleaning. He was always calling me to help him, to send money to him. He couldn't pay his rent. Things were very tough. He never committed any crime. He will apply for jobs, they will refuse him, and as of today, things have changed. He just struggled to go to school. He struggled to pay his tuition, and he finished school, and then he's working now, and things have changed. So everybody will always have an excuse to commit crime. Everybody will have an excuse to commit crime. So we have to condemn racism and then condemn violence. We cannot excuse one for the other. People are committing violence because of racism. Yes, that is true. But you have to condemn violence at the same time. Because if you create that dichotomy, you will give people the leverage and the license to destroy society. And when you go to court, you won't have any ground to prosecute people. They'll tell you, the law says if people are racially discriminated against, they can commit crime. And then criminals will flood our cities and destroy our nations. So racism is not justified. I condemn it. I hate it with passion. God didn't create us to be prejudiced against one another. Racism is the product of man's greed and selfishness and self-centeredness and chauvinistic attitude. Sometimes racism is a product of mental health, bipolar, psychopathic behavior. You just want to dominate other people. You want to exhibit and exercise hegemony. You are hegemonic. You want to stamp on people and tell them you are better. Even in our African society, there is racism. We don't call it racism because that word is very heavy. You see the rich oppressing the poor. Is that not happening in Nigeria? Even in other parts of Africa. In South Africa, even up till today, I live there. I mean, you see the oppression of the white over the blacks during the apartheid regime. If apartheid, the apartheid curtain fell, a lot of blacks were oppressing blacks in South Africa as well. Oppressing blacks, discriminating against them. In Nigeria, it is much worse. The rich oppress the poor. The strong oppress the weak. And so, just find someone that you know who has a family member who is a councillor or a local government chairman in Nigeria, and let him tell you what they are going through, even in their family. See, the brother so these things happen everywhere, and it is racism in the West. In Africa, it is oppression. It is injustice. It is the the rich oppressing the poor. It is the strong oppressing the weak. So whichever side of the divide we belong to, it is condemnable. So whether you are doing it because you're in Africa and you are richer than others and you're oppressing people there, or you are in Europe or America and you are a white person, you're oppressing the black, or you are a black person oppressing the white. Which side of the divide is good? None is good. So we have to condemn it in very, very, very harsh tone. And so I just wish the family of George Floyd, I wish them, I just pray that God will grant them the fortitude to bear the loss. There are many George Floyds. I was thinking aloud a few days back. There are professional George Floyd, career George Floyd. There are people whose careers have been truncated because they are living in a particular country. Now, I have a lot of friends who studied law in Nigeria, and then they come to Europe. They cannot study law. They cannot continue with their law without going back to school. Sometimes they have to go and register for their examination and get recertified. And the process is tedious. Medicine, pharmacy, dentistry, physiotherapy, and all the medical sciences. You cannot just bring your certificate from Nigeria and practice in America. No. In Canada. No. In Great Britain. No. And so people are forced to go back. That is career. That is career racism. That's the kind of a George Floyd syndrome. When you put your leg on the neck of people. So a lot of us, the leg of those people are on our neck, career-wise. You cannot get a job until you recertify. Now, who do you blame for that? You don't blame them really. You blame our people, our leaders back in Africa. If our universities are equally as good, if University of Lagos is like Harvard, and Ahmadu Bello University is like Oxford or Yale, nobody can mess around with us. So if our healthcare services, if the hospitals in which our doctors are doing their housemanship, if they rank as Johns Hopkins Hospital in the US, and they rank as Mayo Clinic in the US. So when you come to the US with your certificate, nobody fool around with you. You tell them, you call them to size. In the 1970s, I think in the 60s, this guy's name from South Africa, Thabo Mbeki. Thabo Mbeki came from South Africa to University of Ibadan on exile. It was the Nigerian government that sponsored him. He was trained in the University of Ibadan. Thabo Mbeki. Now, how many South Africans do you see in Nigerian universities now? South African universities are so good. I have friends who applied to study in the University of Pretoria, where I finished from, and they were denied admission. And they applied to a UK university and they got admission within a week. So, many years back, when I discussed this issue with my friends, and they would tell me, I should help them to get admission in the University of Pretoria in South Africa. I would tell them it's very tough. And they will be bragging. What do you mean? It's very tough. This is Africa. It is Africa. Okay, apply. Okay, try your luck. Then they apply and they deny the admission. And they will now go to UK and they get admission within 3 days. In fact, you can get admission within a day in the UK. That doesn't mean UK universities are not good. Because I schooled in the UK as well. It's solid, it's world class. But what am I saying? South Africa has so much developed its university education. It is solid. Their scientists and professors are solid. They are world class. If Nigerian politicians and leaders, they develop Nigeria like that, we have fantastic schools, fantastic hospitals, infrastructure, everything is at the cutting edge. And then you come abroad and then you present your qualification. Tell me the employer that will mess around with you. They won't do that. But they read it in the news every day and they see how the leaders are stashing money in Zurich, how they are stealing the country blind. Almost like 2-3 times a year, ASU, the Academic Staff Union, always go on strike. And so when you go on strike 3 times a year, what happens to the brain of the students? You set their brain, you reset their brain. You set their brain, you reset it. And then they go on and on and on like that. So people spend 7-8 years to do 5 years program. And then you become tardy. You become, borrow me a word. You are not very sharp again because you have wasted enough time loitering on the street around and spending your man hours, the hours you should spend to be productive on campus. You are walking across the street around you, and the students will flood the society. The ladies will go into prostitution. The young men will go into corrupt practices, and then you will not finish that institution. You finish that program, and then you go to America, and you want to get a job with that bachelor's degree in economics. No, they won't do it for you. They ask you to go back and collect a certification in whatever, economics and whatever. So these things are actually very interwoven. They are interconnected. Bad policies, bad country, bad society will produce archaic, substandard degrees. Archaic, substandard degrees will trigger low self-esteem. Low self-esteem plus substandard degree. You bring it to a world-class society like America or Britain or Canada, and then you are sitting in an interview with a graduate of Oxford or Yale, and I am the employer, and I want to employ someone to manage my business. Of course, I want to go for someone from Yale. I want to go. So the attitude of our leaders is the main issue here. They are the ones who should be blamed for this racism. I am not excusing the white people. They have their own blames too. The attitudes of our leaders, they are the ones to be blamed the most. They are the ones who sold us out. Exactly. They are the ones who sold us out. The kind of books that my brain has read. The kind of books that my brain has read. If money is equivalent to the number of books you have read in your life, I should be like Bill Gates today. But if I tell you the challenges I have faced, financial problems and crises and trouble, and one day I will say, why will I be so much educated like this and I will be looking for money? No, and someone will tell me, no, you are not entrepreneurial, whatever. Go and find a business and set it up. You set up the business. You bring the proposal. You take it to a bank. You tell them you have this idea. They will not approve the loan for you because you are a black person. I'm telling you what's happening in our country here. And even when they know that there are loans that you qualify for, they will hide it from you. So people that are working in the system who know about those loans, particularly the Chinese. Oh, the Chinese and the Indians. Those people are wonderful people. They will not call their friends who are Chinese and Indians. There is a loan for Chinese. Just write 2-page proposal and just tell them you want to be shaking people's hands when they arrive into America. That is your own project. And bring that proposal to my manager. He will approve it. They give them $100,000. If you find a Nigerian lady or a Nigerian man working in that place, he won't tell you. He will hide it. That is another story for another day. They won't tell you. They won't tell you. Number one, they will feel like, why must it be you? Me, I am going to work 9 to 5 every day. I am earning $3,000 per month. Now you want to come and collect $1 million loan and you be an entrepreneur? No, I won't tell you. you are not blocking his own success. Why didn't you resign, write a proposal and apply for the same loan? No, they won't resign. Now if you apply for it, even if they know that you should apply for it and you qualify, they won't tell you. They won't tell you. They won't tell you. So the number of books, I was talking to a lady. She said to me, I have 3 masters. I said, you have 3 master's degree. You don't, these people don't have, the people that supervised me when I'm consulting for, I'm just a consultant. I go into companies, I solve problem for them and I leave. And I go there 5 months, 6 months, 1 year, I leave. So they will not put me under someone and they will tell the person to manage me. You are managing the external consultants. So I'm always very curious. This man managing me, who is he? Let me know who he is. So I will sometimes go to their LinkedIn profile. This guy has a bachelor's degree. This guy finished, he left school about 10 years ago. I left school more than 20-something years ago. What's going on here? And you're managing me. No. And my heart will break. I say, they finished us in Nigeria. By the time you are 35, you are a director or a VP if you're a white person. Most of the VPs I work with, 35, 38, 37, young men, and they are VPs. Because he left school at 18. He did 1 year internship. He joined the bank and worked for 10 years, 11 years. By the 12th, 13th year, he's already a director. Director. The last company I consulted for, that was 2 years ago. 2 years ago. No, not the last one, the second to the last. That was 2 years ago. The man that was the director that I was reporting to, I was an external consultant, so he has to supervise my work. Are you doing the work in terms of the goals and whatever? So we were having challenges, and my wife asked me to go and check his profile on LinkedIn. I went on LinkedIn and I checked his profile. I said I had left university close to 10 years before this man left. Why? How did he become a director? A director. And I'm reporting to him. It is a long journey that we have in our hand. We have a long way to cover. You see 37-year-old young men, not young men, adults in Nigeria, they're still writing JAMB. They are still struggling. You see 32-year-old men, they are writing WAEC. I didn't make English. Because number one, the society is designed to favor certain careers. So, in the West, this is where they beat us hands down. If you are cutting grass, you can be successful in grass cutting without any fear of discrimination or low self-esteem. If you are an horticulturist, you are selling flower, you are planting gardens, you don't have anything called low self-esteem. A medical doctor cannot look at you and say, oh, he's just a grass cutter. You can't do it. But in Africa, you must either be a medical doctor, or you are an engineer, or you are a pharmacist, or you are what? Or accountant. So, all the other career fields that should work together to build a thriving society, because an horticulturist has his own role in building society. They undo gardens and flowers. Now, we think flowers and gardens are not important. Well, they're important. All of them contribute to the ecosystem of societies. I'm in a garden here now, in a park now, and I see a lot of trees and flowers. There are people who study trees. That's their work. When I was in university in Nigeria, I have friends who studied wood engineering. There is an engineering course called wood engineering. When you hear wood engineering, you just laugh. But if you know the work of a wood engineer, their work, they analyze all the qualities of wood, how you can build woods and use them to develop furniture. How you can, all the furnitures that are built and used to do the interiors of aeroplanes. They will tell you the genetics, tell you everything of woods, and how it can be used to build societies. So, career in Nigeria is skewed. Career is skewed towards engineering, accounting, banking and finance, petroleum engineering, and all those flashy courses, at the detriment of many other courses that collaboratively build societies. So that is why you find someone is 25 years old, he has done JAMB, they didn't give him his course. So no, they gave him language arts. I don't want language arts. Because why? Language arts is nothing. It doesn't mean anything. And if you know how much they pay people who interpret languages in this country. Now look at so many ways where we shoot ourselves in the foot. So at the end of the day, even an African man that is not being discriminated against, he will come into a country like Canada or like the US, and he will still want to do what he's doing in Nigeria. The same mindset, the same orientation, and things will not work for him, and then he will attribute it to racism. I shared the story of a lady who came to me. Oh, he said, Pastor Ayo, I've been applying for jobs, and no one has even called me, let alone interview me, for the past 5 or 6 months. I said, that is strange. In this country, at least they will call you, even if they won't give you a job. Let me see your CV. She sent her CV to me. Her name was long, from the beginning of the page to the end of the page. She put her first name, her second name, her middle name. Everything was long. I said, even me, I can't pronounce your name comfortably. I said, number one, let's do it this way. You have an English name. My name is Deborah Mary. I said, yo, you are Deborah Mary from today. I said, now look at your resume. Everything is in uppercase, capital letter. How can you do a resume, CV or a resume, and you use capital letter from A to Z? I said, no. If I ask you to do it, you waste my time. Let me help you format it. So I have a template I use. So I formatted it I changed everything. It took me like 2 hours or 2 hours to do. Because she's a woman that was going through a lot of emotional pains that time. And so I wanted to help her out. So about a week later, she called me. She said, I got a call for an interview. I said, why won't you get it? Because you are bringing your Nigeria, whatever, bringing it over here. So there are so many factors that are working on the mind and in the life of an average African man in the West. I can't exhaust those factors now. So many of them. Culture, quality of education, value system, and family pressure. So many factors. And if you're not careful, you can mistake family pressure family crisis, for racism. Botany, yes, botany. If you're not careful, you can mistake value system, your own value system. You are not a very excellent person. You are very, very shabby and poor. There are people who are very poor. They don't know how to speak correct English. They use as for have. Many as come to the house. Now, when you use plural plus plural, that is that concability in English. When they don't agree. No, it should be many have, two people have, two people as. I placed an advert for a job. About 4 years ago, I set up a research company, and I was looking for researchers in Nigeria, on freelance basis, and I received 500 CVs within a week. That was the day I knew how serious the issue of unemployment was in Nigeria. PhD holders, I screened the CV to 20, personally myself. You will see people, they will send you CV, everything is boldened. They will bolden everything black. You know, you use bold, you highlight the text and you do Control B, and then it will bolden everything. How do you send a CV to an employer and then you bolden every word? I just remove it, I trash it. Some will use capital letter from A to Z, I trash it. Some will write their profile, as in the profile of their resume, and it's full of grammatical errors, I trash it. Some will not qualify for what they're applying for. The role is a researcher, and you are a musician, and then you apply, I trash it. So I got 20 at the end of the day. I started working with those 20 people. I pruned them down to 10. Those 10 people, I suffer in their hands like, oh my God. The value system is bad. Submit your work by 2 p.m. on Monday. They will tell me, yes, sir. When it is Sunday, I will send a reminder. Okay, sir. By 2 p.m., you get it. By 1 p.m., I won't get it. 1:30, I won't get it. 1:45, I will not send a reminder. Say, actually, sir, I was thinking to tell you last Friday that my computer was faulty. My computer was faulty, and I was trying to see that if I can tell you, if you can help me extend the time. My head will almost spin from my head. I screened them down to 3 people because they nearly destroyed my work. You know what happened? At the end of the day, I got a contract from a top British company to work on a project for them. I subcontracted that project to fellow Nigerians. They destroyed that contract. I got an email from that company and they terminated the contract. That will probably be the most painful experience I've had in the last 10 years because of the amount of money that we lost on that project. Because they will delay the project, they will plagiarize the project, and sometimes we use some of this software to detect plagiarism, right check, Turnitin. Sometimes I use many other software. Sometimes they have a way of manipulating their work. There's a way you can do it, that when you submit those documents into right check or into Turnitin or into Grammarly, there's right check, that is Turnitin, it will tell you, it will show you a blank report that the report is fine. When I now send that report to the company and they now put it into their own plagiarism detection software, it will just highlight everything. This thing was copied from Google on the 21st of May. And I will be embarrassed. I will be embarrassed. They ruined that company for me. Value system. Value system. Now, if you are that kind of a person and then you are living in America and you are not good, you are slack, you are tardy, you are not coordinated, you are not organized, you make mistakes, grammatical errors, you talk anyhow, and you are not pointing at a white man as being racist against you. I tell people, you must be good first. Make sure you are above board. I don't ever want anybody to point at me. I don't ever want anyone to point at me and say you are not good enough. Like I tell people, before you pray, make sure what you are praying about, you can do it yourself. If you can do it, God will not do it. If you cannot do it, God can help you and do it. There was one day I was asked to come for an interview for in a bank. I wanted to consult for that bank. It was like a 4 months project. So when I got to the bank, they said I was going to write a test. I said, write a test. And they said, no, I can't write a test. I said it to myself, not to them. I was furious. I said, you only ask entry points, junior people, consultant to write tests. This is a consulting work. I have never in my life been told to write tests anywhere as a consultant for any company. They interview you, sometimes interview just 10 minutes, sometimes 15 minutes. They will know if you are good or not by the time they talk to you. They ask you very, very high quality questions. They told me that is what everybody has to do, because I asked the lady in the HR, I said, why should I write tests? So when I got to the room, they put a computer before me, and it was an aptitude test. Now, I have done GRE and GMATs when I was trying to gain admission to universities in the 90s, for my master's in the 90s. So I was very good a little bit with aptitude tests, but I had lost touch of all those. So when I entered that room, I saw a Chinese man. I saw the Chinese man. I said, God, can I pass this test? Because I knew Chinese people are very good. So they will give you like 10 minutes and give you like 50 questions. Not very complicated analytical questions. They will draw a diagram, draw a truck, and will tell you if the truck is going on the northwest. I said, what is this kind of embarrassment today? But something came from my inside. Why will you be afraid of aptitude tests? This man that is a Chinese, does he have 2 heads? My friend, sit down there and do the test and show your color that you are a black man. Black men are very brilliant people. I was motivating myself. I wasn't even praying. I wasn't saying, Lord, please help me. So I sat down. So the guy was doing his own. I was looking at him like this. Like this. He was looking very serious. Very serious. You know, in those days, when you were in university that time, I mean, when you sit down beside very brilliant people, the way they are very serious, it can make you to forget all the questions, all the answers you heard. The guy was very serious. I said, this guy has finished this test. He's going to be number 1. I said, what is it? Something just came from my inside, and I began to look at the question. I said, why is this question difficult? I was attacking them one by one. When I finished the test, I just left the place, and they told me they would get back to me. I got home 1 hour after my phone rang, and they said, you came first. I said, no, you don't mean it. You don't mean it. You know, I learned a lesson that day. Say, you don't mean it. So you have to be very careful of your mindset as well. Now, if you're thinking you cannot do it, I'm a failure, they don't like me, I'm a black person, even before racism knocks your door, you have already destroyed your chances. There are so many black people doing fantastically well in America. Some of their best doctors are Nigerians. They are also exposed to racism, of course, but you have to pull through it and pull through it. So above all, I'm just doing this short video today. There is blessing in every evil, no matter the evil or problem or challenge that a child of God is experiencing. The Bible says all things work together for good. Not good things alone. Say all things, both good and evil, work together for good. Many of us would not be where we are today if not for racism. We read ourselves to stupor. I have a friend, certified Microsoft, certified Oracle certified, Oracle. He was just almost like 20 different certifications. The man is a wizard. I have another friend in England. He was so good that University of Cambridge gave him British citizenship. University of Cambridge, he was holding a student visa. Imagine you have a student visa. And the guy was so good. When this guy writes program, and they said this guy must not go. They wrote to the UK Home Office and they approved British passport. It was the first of us, among all of us, that went to England at our time, that was given British passports. On account of his brilliance, he is darker than me. This guy is dark. If you use your white clothes to touch his color, you will be tempted that the guy is very dark. The guy was so good. The white British people, they opened the door. Is one of the top IT guru in the UK for Nigeria now. The guy that bought the Gatwick Airport, This guy, I forgot his name. He bought Gatwick Airport. He's a Nigerian. I have a friend. I won't mention his state in the US. I haven't met anyone more brilliant than this man in my entire life. This guy is so good that when he finishes writing an exam, he will tell you, I checked all my answers and I found out that they were right. I have never heard that statement from any man. Imagine you write an exam and you're saying, I checked all my answers and they were right. When the exam result comes, you will get 100 over 100. The guy is so good. He was part of the people that mentored me. So anytime I just go to him, please now, please. Oh, you are disturbing me. 5 minutes of conversation with him, your day is made. We just tell you, change this. The guy is a wizard. He went to GIT, Georgia Institute of Technology, one of the biggest engineering schools in America. So the first year, I called him. He said, I'm having problems with the Chinese students. The Chinese are giving me a problem. I said, they give you a problem? He said, yes, no. The second year, I called him, he said, no. They are not giving, I'm now the one giving them problem. The guy is a top executive in a US company. I won't mention the name now. I went to his house sometimes 2015 in Atlanta. The guy is a genius. Now, this guy is so good that he did not allow his daughter to go to school. The daughter did homeschool. So together with himself and his wife, they designed a curriculum based on the government's secondary school curriculum in America. They designed their own curriculum and were teaching their daughter at home. Last month, the daughter wrote an exam, entrance exam, and 8 US schools gave this girl admission. Yale, Harvard, Stanford, Johns Hopkins. I couldn't believe my eyes like this. I said, like father, like father, like daughter. He's a Nigerian in the midst of racism. In the midst, so you better be very good. There is no room for mediocrity in this year 2020. You can sing the song of, they don't like me, they don't like me, they don't like me, they are killing me, they are killing us. Yes, they are doing that. But there are people who, despite these problems, they are still shooting and reaching even beyond the stars. I can give you examples. I have friends that are medical doctors. I have friends that sit on the board with Dell, Michael Dell, the owner of Dell. I have a friend that sits with him on the board of Dell. And this guy told me, I don't take salary, I take commission. So when Dell makes $50 billion, they give all the people in his class 5% commission. 5% of $50 billion. He came to Toronto and I went to meet him in his hotel. And he said, no salary, just commission. I just get commission. He's a Nigerian too, a black man. A man that came from Ibadan, not Lagos, not Abuja, Ibadan. And I know many of us too, we have a lot of examples of people like that are doing very well. Let's just move on, and in the spirit of forgiveness, let's not allow bitterness to take over our hearts. Bitterness and contention, they are horrible. The Bible says, wherever contention is, there is evil. Anywhere you find contention, we are always fighting. We birth evil. All kinds of evil. Because at the end of the day, if our countries in Africa are very, very good, nobody will be racially whatever against us here. If they ask all of us, let me ask you this question. If a new king arises tomorrow that doesn't know Joseph, what will happen? And there's a new US president, and he makes a new law. Every African, every black person who wasn't born here, return to your country. And a new prime minister comes up in, whoever thought that Great Britain will leave the EU. The Brexit matter just came around how many years ago? Everybody thought that was it. The EU and Britain would be husband and wife for years, for decades. Something just triggered it. There was a referendum. Brexit came up. Today, Britain is out of the EU. So don't say never. It can never happen. It can happen. There was a time that the nation of Israel was scattered around the world. Nobody believed Israel would come back. Adolf Hitler killed 3 million Jews. The Jews were the scum of the earth. They were massacred. Nobody believed. They were so scattered. May 15, 1948. May 15, 1948. All the Jews began to return to their land. The nation of Israel was created, and the Jews came back. So don't say it can never happen. So you can never. How can they send me out of Canada? It can happen. It can happen. They just need to create a law, a policy, and bring out all this vaccine or whatever, and say if you want to be living here, we have to inoculate you and do something and take a cell from the body and take one tissue, and then no. Then they will say leave our country. So we have to be grateful that God has planted us where we are today, and we have been blessed. I have been blessed by this country that I'm living in. No, they have blessed me so much. What I never experienced in my life in Nigeria, the West gave it to me. And I have to be grateful to God and to them. They gave me scholarship. They gave me grants. They gave me loans. They gave me jobs. They gave me free medical, free health care. I mean, the list is endless. The things they didn't give me in my supposed father's land. Even the ones I had in my land, they took it from me. So what am I talking about? So as we are shooting arrows at them and shooting them, let us remember the things we have benefited from them as well. They have helped us as well. Many of us that came to America, it was like we are leaving hell to heaven. I know people who left Nigeria, it was like they were leaving hell. Thank God I left. I have a friend, they gave him 6 months UK visa. 1993 or thereabouts. 1993, they gave him UK visa. He said, look at this visa. This is not a visit visa. This is a British passport. I said, what do you mean? He said, I'm not coming back to Nigeria again. And so many like that, thousands upon thousands of Nigerians in Italy, in France, in Rome, in Georgia, in Belgium, mention the country. Even in the Middle East. We went out of Nigeria because Nigeria was too hot for us. Many of us, our destinies would have been truncated. Now that we are stronger now, that is when we are thinking now, okay, let's go back and rebuild Africa now. Who can rebuild? Can I ever talk of rebuilding any country 20 years ago? Can I ever talk of rebuilding? Even me, I wanted to rebuild my stomach, rebuild my career. It is when you are strong and you are at a little level of comfort, that's when you're thinking about, let me go back and rebuild somewhere. If you yourself, you require rebuilding, your career should be rebuilt. You don't talk of rebuilding somebody else's career. So in the midst of this chaos and crisis, let's give thanks to God that we are where we are. We have to condemn the evil. I don't justify or excuse racism on the ground of what they are doing to us or that they have done for us. It is condemnable. It is evil. It must stop. At the same time, let us not be wrapped up in the bitterness of they are destroying us. They did not destroy me. They have never destroyed me in this country since I came. It has been blessing and blessing. I've had problems, but I've had more blessings from the white people. Yeah. I've had more blessings. My life, my family, my home, everything has been transformed radically. I had books in my heart. I had books in my life that I couldn't even write in Nigeria. How will you write books when you are looking for a job, when you want to pay your house rent, when you cannot pay your tuition fee, when you cannot feed? It was when I came here that I can now approach a bank. I said, give me a loan, a grant, book writing grants. They have all kinds of grants in this country. Give me a loan, give me this, and they will give you, and I now publish books, and they are reading my books all over the world, and I am now cursing the white people and judging them. No. That is what many of us are doing. They are wicked people, they are useless people, they are terrible people, they are horrible people, they are devils. No, there are bad people among them. Don't get me wrong. But I will never join people to generalize that every white man is bad. No. The evil that they are doing to us in Africa is worse than racism. The evil that our governors and presidents are doing is worse. You can't even compare it with racism. So I have friends who will tell me I don't care. Let them discriminate against me, but let me stay here. My life is moving forward. And this is an impromptu broadcast that I just wanted to do, just to encourage all of us that this racism issue, it has its own blessings too. It is because of racism that many of us are where we are today. They pushed us beyond our limits. Many of us have 3 master's degrees. Many of us have PhDs. Many of us have MBAs. Many of us have BScs. Many of us I have friends that are in the US Army. I have a friend in the US Army now. And he told me one day he entered the plane with his camo. He was wearing his camo, the camo flag, the camo of the soldiers. As he entered the plane, everybody stood up. White people. My friend is a black man. So it was on the jersey, on the camo was written the US Navy or US Army. He said he felt so honored because he just came from Afghanistan at that time. A Nigerian man entered the plane with a US camo, and the white people stood up for him, and they did this to him. And he told me, he said no. Anytime I mentioned Nigeria to him, he said no, don't even mention that country to me again. Don't mention that name. So there are so many things I can say on this subject. A lot of blessings, there are problems as well that we are faced, but I will never come here to tell you that the problems are faced in the West are more than the successes. No, I have had more successes than problems. And I have to be grateful to God and grateful to these people as well. Of course, they do their own evil and whatever, behind the scene. But we have to be grateful to God that we are. What if there is no visa? There is no US lottery. There is no Canadian Express, whatever, entry. There is nothing. And we are stuck in Nigeria. What will happen? Many of us, including me, would have been dead if I was in Nigeria. All kinds of problems that would have faced, health problems, sickness here and there, that would have killed many of us, except for the grace of God that opened the door for us to go outside of Nigeria to the West. I'm going to stop and bring this seminar, this impromptu seminar. It's impromptu. So I'm under a tree here. I'm just taking a walk into a park. On Saturday, if you're free, join us by 1:30 for an interactive session on this subject as well. I want to look at the options on our table. Do we dominate the West or think about rebuilding Africa, which is the more sustainable approach? Dominate them, enter their systems and take over. Is that possible? Because that is what many of us are saying. Yes, I want to be number 1 too. I want to be. You can't take over their country. We can't. Let's not think that is difficult. How many Americans are in Nigeria taking over all the banks? Americans are in GTB. Americans are in EcoBank. Americans are in NEPA. Americans are, of course, they are in some places, but they can't take over the country. So that mindset of let's take over and dominate. No, they are the ones dominating us because this is their land. What our focus should be is to excel where we are. Make sure you succeed and excel and expand. But to think about dominating and taking over their country, every sector, is wishful thinking. Like El Clue sang in his album, Wishful Thinking. So we're going to break it down and look at the realities, and then look at the options of rebuilding Africa as well. And then it's going to be a very rich discourse. And I trust God to help all of us to achieve our purpose and dreams. And I just wish the families of George Floyd and all the other oppressed Africans and black people in America, I wish them a very, very great emancipation, great time of emancipation. And I ask that the Holy Spirit will heal the wife. I saw his wife, like his former wife today, and the daughter. I saw the picture on CNN. She was crying profusely, and that really broke my heart. And he has become a symbol of freedom, like Martin Luther King. And the name of that guy has entered into the annals of history, the world's history. And there are some people, it is when they die that they become great. We can't question God. Nobody knew George Floyd. Now, this God, this God is awesome. Nobody knew George Floyd. All over the world, his name is on the lips of everyone. Can you imagine that? There are some people God will just decide to, I want to honor you. Now, it is not just his name now. Everybody in his family, the Floyd family, they have become reference points all over the world now. Anywhere they go, they have become a reference point that it was because of this man that the whole America rose up. And not just America, people are rioting in Britain, people are rioting in France, in Canada, because of one man. Maybe God allowed it to happen to honor this family and to use that as a trigger to bring a change to this problem. You can't question God. I'm going to bring this to a close now. Thank you everyone that has joined. God bless you all. I will see you again very, very soon by this weekend. Have a nice day. Thank you everyone. Thank you everyone. Sister Bukola, Brother John. Thank you everyone. I wish you a tremendous Wednesday.